So today I have something special to share with you guys. One of my subscribers by the name of Aaron Abraham contacted me after he watched part 1 and 2 of the Celts Vikings and the Druids were Sumerians. And he said that he was originally from Ethiopia, but he was currently living in Canada. And he said that he was about an hour away from the Celtic site in Alberta, Canada that I showed you guys in part 2. And to my surprise, he said that he would be willing to drive down to the site and take some more pictures. So Aaron Abraham actually went out of his way and drove down to this ancient Celtic site in Alberta, Canada, and he took a lot of pictures that I'll be sharing with you guys today. So I want to refresh your memory and show you the two pictures that I originally showed you guys in part 2. One is the Negro head and the other is the Ogham pillar. Because I'm not sure if I mentioned this in part 2, but these two images are the only two images that are known to exist of this site prior to it being vandalized. So I just wanted to mention that there were only two pictures known to exist of this site because it helps you better appreciate what Aaron Abraham has done by going to this site and taking more pictures. So I have a lot of pictures to show you, and the majority of them are of the land and rock formations and the Milk River. But more than anything, I'm excited to share with you the pictures that Aaron Abraham took of several African heads that can be found at this location. So before moving forward, I just want to say that all of the pictures in this video were taken by Aaron Abraham, with the exception of a few pictures that I'll be using for comparison. So now I want to show you the most important pictures that Aaron Abraham sent me, which are of the African heads that can be found at this site. Keep in mind that these heads have been vandalized and the majority of their faces have been chiseled away, destroying a lot of their facial features, but what's left of these African heads is more than enough evidence to show the African connection. So we can compare the African heads found on Easter Island to the pictures of the African heads that were sent to me by Aaron Abraham from Canada. And we can clearly see that the African people who built the stone figures found on Easter Island are the same African people who built the African heads in Alberta, Canada. So this next African head that I want to show you has a round hat and some sort of image on the hat. So you'll notice that all of these African heads have been damaged in some way, but with this particular head, the face has been completely chiseled away. They've also damaged the body of the statue. So I had to study this African head longer than the others because it was so badly damaged, but every time I would look at this image, it was so familiar to me, but I couldn't figure out where I had seen this image before. So I had a hard time deciphering this particular African head because when trying to compare this African head to the other heads found around the world, the majority of these African heads found around the world are all of men. So it was surprising that this particular head was of a female. So to the right, you'll see the ancient Minoan serpent goddess of Greece. And the original inhabitants of Greece were known as the Minoans, and the Minoans were the serpent kings who were also Egyptians. That is, until the cave beast invaded Greece. And this is the Egyptian/Minoans of Greece 3,400 years ago, who came to Egypt to pay tribute to the Egyptian king. And you'll see that they have serpents on their heads, and the Minoan serpent queen was the Minoan version of the goddess Sekhmet, with a cat on her head. So I don't know how old the African heads found in Alberta, Canada are, because much of this knowledge has been suppressed and hidden from the public. But what I do know is that the golden statue to the right of the Minoan/Egyptian serpent goddess is over 4,000 years old. But if we compare the 4,000-year-old Minoan serpent goddess statue found in Greece to the statue found in Alberta, Canada, we can clearly see that we are looking at the same image. So this one was hard for me to see at first, and I almost overlooked the African heads found in this picture, because the heads in this picture are so very badly damaged, and the fact that the picture itself is only showing the upper portion of the heads. So I zoomed in on the heads and I flipped the image around to get a better view, and you can see the image at the top right. So when I flipped the image, it became clear to me that I was looking at an Olmec head. So I put an Olmec head to the right for comparison, and even though the head in Alberta, Canada is so badly damaged, there's enough of the head left that undoubtedly proves that this is an Olmec head. One of the things that set the Olmec heads apart from all of the other African heads found around the world is the fact that the Olmecs always showed themselves wearing helmets. So when looking at the Olmec heads found in Alberta, Canada, and the Egyptian serpent goddess head found in Alberta, Canada, this made me think of the Salazar Brick. The Salazar Brick is an artifact found in South America, and it's a bilingual codex created by the Olmecs, who were Cushites, and the Mayans, who were Egyptians. So the Salazar Brick found in South America proves the ancient Egyptian and Cushite presence in South America, and the evidence presented in this video ties it all together by proving that the same two ancient black civilizations who were inhabiting South America were also inhabiting North America and Canada as well. And we can also connect the Cushites or the Sumerians inhabiting Europe, known as the Celts, the Vikings, and the Druids, because in Alberta, Canada, next to these African heads, we have an Ogham pillar. So this proves that the black Ogham-speaking people of Europe were also here in America and Canada as well, and they had to be here around the same time or before the cave beasts discovered the black Ogham-speaking people in Europe in the 2nd century BC. And we know that the black civilizations of South America and Europe spoke multiple languages. All of these languages stem from the original cuneiform language that was used by the Egyptians and the Cushites in ancient times to communicate. They used cuneiform for legal documents, farming records, and military campaigns because it was the language of the land. And all of the Mayan and the Aztec and the Inca and the Olmec languages of South America, and the Ogham and the Celtic and the Viking languages of Europe, and the Sumerian scripts of ancient Africa all stem from the cuneiform language, the original language of the two black races of the world. So I want to share with you a few things that Aaron Abraham shared with me about his journey to this ancient site. He said that when he was standing between the rocks, that it was almost completely silent, and that there were snakes and a lot of birds. And he said that this location felt like a spiritual portal, and he could feel an overwhelming spiritual presence around him. And he also pointed out that there were stairs along the cliffs carved out of rock, and the rock formations found in Alberta, Canada were just like the rock churches found in Ethiopia. So I want to thank Aaron Abraham for going out of his way to go to this site. I'm humbly grateful for all that he's done. He had to drive for hours. He had to climb mountains and cliffs and pass snakes and all types of other things, God knows what, to bring us these pictures. So I'm humbly grateful for him going out of his way to do this. And I want to thank the ancestors as well for making these African heads and everything else that they've left behind for us to see, because without the ancient works of the ancestors, we would have no proof of the ancient black presence in the Americas prior to the arrival of white people just 500 years ago.